Hi everybody, this is Carrick from Angry Centaur Gaming, and today I'm going to be walking you through some more strategies for State of Decay. And the first strategy we're going to cover is how to make sure that you're not always alone in the game. One of the things that is a major complaint in the game is that people feel like they're alone a lot of times because it's not multiplayer. So one of the things you can do is the game at many times will have issues within the base called there'll be like morale issue fear, morale issue anger, morale issue jealousy, and a couple others. So I've got morale issue fear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk
I
to
know
this
things seem
character
bad, but
and
we
get
gotta
him to
make it.
follow me.
And you're gonna
These are
help.
very important
Let's go.
quests because the game is set up open world. So obviously they don't know in what way you're going to head to the quest giver's location, or the quest location. So what I do is I highlight the quest. Well, the game allows you the freedom to pretty much go anywhere. And so what I'm going to show you here is just a little bit of footage where I highlight the area to make sure that I know where it is and where I'm going to be headed. But what I'm going to be able to do is I can probably go all the way up here too. I've gone basically from town to town, from top to bottom, north to south, and it's been fine. So what that allows you to do is it allows you to take that secondary character. Now, it's not the same as grouping, obviously, but
Just
there's
taking
some
care of some
cool
business.
pluses to
Figured
this.
pitching in
One,
might make you feel better.
instead of, let's say, going and saving somebody where they want to be rescued, a lot of times there's a caveat to those quests where a person who wants to be rescued, you go and save them, and the caveat is that they need a vehicle, or the caveat is that you have to sneak, or that
I
there's
see
a
something.
couple of those,
Looks like an
or they
infestation.
just run off on their own. So this is always better to start at your base. And what I do is I use these characters for infestations. Now, accidentally, while I did this, I realized I was at the wrong place, but I'll take out a couple of these guys. But what's nice is you're able to, and again, I use vehicles for everything. If I can smash a couple hundred zombies with a vehicle without ruining my stamina, what I've found is that, I usually use one or two vehicles, smash some things, and then go out and then use up my stamina, because you can get pretty tired pretty quick in this game, and it can start taking resources. So here's where the infestation actually is. Now, there's going to be a screamer in here too. What you do is you drive around, you honk, and then you just destroy them. Now, as you can tell, zombies are like deer, man. They destroy your vehicles really fast. But frankly, and you can see the screamer in there starting to come out, just hammer the horn a couple times. Sometimes flashing the lights does actually work even in daytime because the game is set up for them to see the headlights. Um, and then you just go ahead and hit it. Another cool thing is, I almost flipped my car there. Generally, Dukes of Hazzard. Another cool thing is that when you do that and a screamer screams, for some reason it doesn't really do anything when you're inside the vehicle. It doesn't seem to impact it. I can still steer and stuff. So that infestation was cleared pretty quickly. The cool thing is that's always going to give you some kind of morale bonus. So it's great to go ahead, go grab a
I
guy,
see something.
um, and
Looks like an
and remove
infestation.
that infestation as quick as you can, because all it's going to do is offer you some pluses for both the quest, because you'll have this character for the quest later, and also for killing or destroying those infestations. Here I've got another horde, and I'm just basically doing the typical back and forth, man. It's awesome. Honking the horn also has a tendency to make them go into a funnel. A lot of times a horde will sort of spread out, but if you honk the horn, they have a tendency to follow the leader, and it's much easier to get them in a straight line and just bowl them down, just bowling pins. Striker turkeys. Now, the next thing I'm going to cover here are skills. As you'll notice here, as this is playing, I'm going to show you some unique things with the skills that I don't think a lot of people understand. If you see my wits here, XP bonus from library, there's some hidden skills and construction bonuses that you guys need to be aware of. For example, if you have a high wits and then you do build a library, you get even more XP, some really cool stuff. Now, I've talked about techniques in the past. One of my favorite techniques to update is Ninja. And what Ninja allows is it allows for you to sneak. You can sprint while sneaking, basically, or let's just say run while sneaking. And all searching is basically dead silent. I think it does make some sound when you fast search, but it almost allows you to fast search. In fact, I would say it could technically be a little bit overpowered. It's pretty close. Um, and then when I get to the defensive skills, now one of the problems with the defensive skills is a couple of them require things like, let's say, the ability to know when an enemy's attacking. Well, that's hard with the camera. So what I usually pick is the ones that are more that are different. Like there's instant counter there, but I end up choosing leapfrog, and that's purely fighting style on my part. I just have a difficult time sometimes seeing how the enemy is going to attack, and I can't always ram down that counter and get it correctly. Now, another thing here, if you'll notice, you always want to make sure to understand that different stockpiles use up resources at a different pace. For example, here you can see that my daily resource of construction is very high. So what I always do is when I notice that the daily of something is much higher than everything else, I either go to places and send runners without even searching. I find a place, or I ask Lily through the radio to go ahead and find me a place that offers whatever I'm looking for. And in this place, I'm looking for supplies. So basically, I go and I highlight Lily, and I end up finding supplies here. You'll see, or actually, I think it's called material caches. Yeah, and I turn that on. And then that allows Lily to go ahead and pop in and tell me where some of those are. And then once I get there, I just instantly send people. Now, something people are wondering what fuel is used for. Not it's used for bombs, but it's also used for the traps for all of your outposts. So don't think that fuel is useless. It can be used for your traps. And when you put traps around your outposts, the outposts create a safe zone around them. So very useful. Now, the last thing we're going to cover are backpacks. When you put a rucksack on your back, I'm telling you, your stamina takes a serious hit, and you need to understand the give and take of a backpack. So what does a backpack do? Well, backpack allows you to take whatever is within the backpack, of course, on your back. The problem is that the game doesn't tell you if it's a simple one item or if it's 15 items. One of the things I have found is that if it's like a weapon style backpack, it's going to have barely anything. If it's a food backpack, it could have a lot of stuff, but it weighs a very small amount if you break it down. So you really have to, it's sort of like a strategy to decide. Now here I'm in this one house, and you got to realize that if you search a house by opening up all of the resource areas and try to send runners, it'll say, no, you can't send runners. There's nothing found in this house, regardless if you have items left in the house. So watch out. It's really weird. At least it's doing that in my game. So I'll say that. So basically, if you've opened up all the areas but haven't grabbed everything and then try to send runners, and I mean every single item, it will, at least on my game at times, it will say that there's no resources at this area when there is stuff. It could be a bug, but it's just something to warn you about. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll clean the zombies out of an area. I'll see if one or two things have enough stuff in them, and then I'll leave. Now here's another thing. If you do find a spot and you're going to send runners, don't waste your time stocking up on anything within that area. What I mean is don't overload yourself. It's pretty much a waste to have you and the runner go to that area, unless you absolutely have to. So the reason why is because though the runners have inventory and they seem to count it, the runners are not impacted by stamina that I can see. What I mean by that is, when you are out and about searching, you can see a runner who is obviously, they're pretty much going at almost full speed for quite a bit of time. I think the game maybe gives them a little bit of an edge when it comes to stamina. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I've certainly seen it myself in my game. So the last thing is about inventory management.
Oh, stuff.
Really make sure you understand what things you've upgraded, because, for example, if you have upgraded so that you get Molotov cocktails, sometimes it makes sense that if you have them in your inventory, but there's a gun in some area somewhere, destroy the Molotov cocktail and take the gun. Trust me, or go outside and use it on a zombie, but it would almost make more sense to just destroy it, because you will find that you are actually constantly making things, and you can end up, especially on a small route of maybe 15 to 20 minutes, you can end up making up those Molotov cocktails in the inventory just by having, like, let's say, a workshop, and you can end up bringing 4 or 5 guns back. And if guns are what you need, or ammo, then it only makes sense to do that instead of wasting your limited space or calling a runner for one item. And lastly is searching areas. If you can't find a missing survivor, if it keeps saying that there's a missing survivor, sometimes they're on the roof and you have to go outside to do that. Well, a lot of people don't realize that you can leap up and grab onto the hanging ladders. I've seen that comment come up in multiple forums. So just remember, see the ladder here, you just push A while you're under it, and there you go, and you jump up. And sometimes it will also help because you'll enter a building from one area, but the second level is only available by going out of that building and up a flight of stairs. However, things like this, the ladder, are sort of a quick way of getting to the top. Some of the buildings are made a little weird in that way, where it'll be a two-layer or a two-story building, but the second story you have to actually leave the first story and go to the next door and go up a flight of stairs. So anyway, that's it from me. This is Carrick from Angry Centaur Gaming. I hope you're enjoying the game.